This episode is part 2 of my conversation with Steve Arpin. I recommend going back and listening to the first part before listening to this one. So is there any other sport that you've tried but never fully got into?
Not really. I guess I pretty much dove into everything. I used to do a little bit of snowcross stuff, more for training. I used to do a lot of dirt bike riding in the summer times for training for snowmobile racing in the wintertime, and I never really got into dirt bike racing at all. I just did it more so for the training aspect of it.
If you could have any car, what would it be and why?
I've always wanted to drive a McLaren. And I don't know why. I just think they're cool as hell. They've got so much technology in them, and they're just stuck to the earth. And I've always just wanted to feel basically everything that the most wildest engineers of our generation have been able to come up with and pack into one piece of equipment.
What are some of the coolest people that you've got to meet because of everything that you've done surrounding motorsport?
So that's where I've been so crazy lucky, right? Like first off, one of the things I love most about dirt track racing is just the people in general, right? Like I love going to the dirt track just for the people. They're good people. So just virtually everyone you meet. Sometimes you meet some bad ones, but there's so many good ones that the bad ones don't even matter, right? We don't even care. So that being said, between the all the people dirt racing, some of the coolest people and just most accomplished people I've got to meet have been guys like I drove for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and was teammates with Danica Patrick, right? Two of the biggest names in motorsports. I got to be teammates with Brian Deegan and got to be really good friends. To this point, consider him a close personal friend with Travis Pastrana, and just hear kind of some of the stories and just watch him succeed through just sheer grit and work ethic that I've never seen any professional athlete in my life have like Travis Pastrana does. Like his level of energy and just pure grit and go is unbelievable. And then other things like God, getting to the guys at Spire Sports and Entertainment. Jeff Dickerson was my manager and stuff for a while. Now he's the owner of Spire Sports, and now I'm partnered up with them. We got Carson Hosevar's car next door here. And Chip Ganassi, some of the things I've been able to learn from being partnered with Chip on the Rallycross program when we were there, and then obviously like Ken Block, right? And through my relationship with Ken, we got to know Lewis Hamilton and all that when we were doing stuff with them in Barbados and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of that has just been wild when you sit back and look at it. It's like I've been able to build relationships with just right there between Pastrana and Deegan and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Danica and Ken Block and Lewis Hamilton. They're all in the top 10 of personalities in our industry globally, and I've been able to build relationships with more than half of the top 10. So it's pretty cool. I never thought about that before. That is pretty cool.
How does a modified behave differently to other similar dirt racing cars?
So I'd say the biggest thing in just a modified or a dirt late model, like the rear suspension in these cars, I don't know this for a fact, but I would be pretty confident saying it that the amount of suspension movement and change that we have in any given lap, from our driving through the pits posture to our race posture, I would say the amount of things changing on any given lap is probably greater than any other race vehicle that exists today. I don't know that to be fact, but I would bet that I would be pretty accurate in saying that. And so that being said, there's so much more going on in these things than just jumping on the gas and trying to make it go as fast as you can. You really got to understand all that. And then the biggest thing in especially dirt oval racing is the track changes. Like you'll have 3 distinctively different track conditions in any given feature night. And that's if you only have 3. Sometimes you'll have 4 or 5, maybe 6, depending on how long the race is. So that being said, it's one of those things where it's always a moving target. um, finding maximum speed is always requiring something different from lap to lap in many cases. So I would say that's one of the biggest things that sets the dirt modified or late models apart from other disciplines of motorsport.
Is there any list that you want to try but haven't?
Everything, right? Like when you grow up being a driver, you just want to drive everything. But I've been honestly, I'm not much of a guy that looks back and has a bunch of what if, what if, what if. It's like every decision I ever make is always based on would I if I pass this up, will I turn back and say what if? So I've really jumped into everything that's been thrown in front of me, and and I'm happy with that. So I'm totally satisfied with all the things that I've been so lucky to be able to try and everything, and I don't really have anything else on my bucket list. The biggest thing on my bucket list now is I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old right behind me, and just to be able to build some of the memories with them, whether that be in racing or soccer or ballet with my little girl, just build some of those core memories with them, like my dad made with me.
Is there any track you've driven on that you feel is particularly challenging?
Well, everyone, right? Like so every track has its own characteristics and its own little traits that if you can figure out, you'll kind of set yourself apart. And there's always local guys at every different track you go to that have so many laps around there that have a lot of those little nuances figured out. So I would say every track has its own little nuances about them that make it hard to get to that peak performance level. Yeah, but as far as any track, the one track that I always struggled at, to be fair, just in dirt racing, Superior, Wisconsin. I think they call it Gondik Law Speedway. I sucked there. I could get around pretty much every track I went to in some way or another, but man, that place, I don't even know if I ever won a race. So I'd be shocked. I would bet more on I never won a race there than I did. I'd be I'd be shocked. And if I did, it's probably because everyone else crashed. If I did, but yeah, Superior, Wisconsin was always one of those tracks I struggled at.
What's your favorite thing about dirt racing?
The people, the people, and the fact that more so than most other things I've ever driven, as a driver, if you're off as a driver, you can search and try harder and and move around and make it back. Where a lot of the other disciplines of motorsport, just because everything's so maximized everywhere, the harder you try. If you're off, like if you're a 15th place car and you're trying to make it a 10th place car, if circumstances just don't line up for you and you try harder, you're lots of times going to end up being an 18th place car. And dirt racing, it's one of those things where just by sheer will, you can still find ways to make it up there and even win the race if you're a fifth or sixth place car.
For people just getting into racing, what would you say is an easy entry point to get to where you are now?
Honestly, race, I always get those questions, and the biggest thing that I would say, if you want to get into racing, just do something that number one you can afford, and number two that keep it at a level that you can be competitive at for the level of experience that you've got. Right? If you're gonna try and jump into something that's just way too much for you, and you're gonna go get your butt kicked every single night, you're gonna be wrecking because you just don't have the experience level to be racing with these guys that are doing it at a just frankly different level than you are. And then if you can't afford to, or if a mishap in the evening is going to put you in a bad place personally, just try and do something that you can afford, that you can afford to do at a competitive level, and go from there. That's what I've always recommended to everyone. And even if you can afford to start racing dirt cars at the Lucas Oil level, start at the local or regional level and just understand it. Go to racetracks that are nice and wide and have a lot of room to race on. You can learn the aero side of it and all that, and just work your way up to the national tours.
How often did you race road circuits in NASCAR?
I don't think I ever did any in NASCAR per se. I did the road courses at the ARCA level, which I guess is owned by NASCAR now. I don't even remember how many we did. I did enough that I got pretty good at it. I got pretty good at it. Almost won one down at Palm Beach. I forget what happened. But I got pretty good at it. I had an awesome road course teacher. Chris Cook was like my road course mentor, if you want, and him and I spent a lot of time together and a lot of time on the racetrack, um, teaching me how to race road courses, and I got pretty good at it, and I really enjoyed it.
So, for people who might not know, how is ARCA different from NASCAR?
It's a stepping stone up to the higher series, right? So that's probably the biggest stepping stone between the late model level and the truck series, if you want to call it that. That's just a nice gradual step that gets you into the full size heavy stock cars.
Is there anything in motorsport that might have eluded you a little?
I would say, honestly, I would say my biggest regret, which isn't even a regret, right? It's just how the cards fell for me, and realistically, if you look back at what I thought was my biggest failure, it's really contributed to get me to where I'm at today, and I'm really happy where I'm at today. So my biggest failure was probably ultimately a good thing, in hindsight. But when I got my opportunity to go drive for Dale Jr., um, my start for Dale Jr. was my 22nd asphalt race of my life, and I was starting right next to Kevin Harvick. So with only 21 previous races on asphalt, starting next to Kevin Harvick at Talladega is kind of nerve wracking, right? And I always look back and sometimes wonder, it's like, did that opportunity come too soon to be able to fully capitalize on it? And I think it did, for me to be ready to fully capitalize on an opportunity like that at such a high profile place. But at the same token, I learned so much from Dale Jr. I learned so much from Kelly, his sister, on the business side of things, that it's contributed so much to where I'm at today. So as much as, and I just firmly believe this, as much as I feel like some people may think that, like, oh, I think that's the one that got away and everything, or so on and so forth. Like, it's ultimately, if you're happy with where you're at, it's a good thing that actually happened, because things might have went a completely different direction and not ended up as good as you might have thought. So the big man upstairs has always got a plan. It might not line up with what we think it should be, but he's always got a plan, and it's one of those things where I just never look back and regret. Sometimes you wonder, obviously, but it's I would say, if anything, I my opportunities came too soon, but I still got the opportunities where so many people don't. So I can't complain.
What are some racing drivers that you look up to?
God, I look up to a lot of guys for different things, right? So Carl Edwards, one of my idols, just simply because he came from the same background I did, and just through pure determination and will and work ethic and all that, got himself to the point where he's the one of the most successful NASCAR drivers ever, and now to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, right? So that's amazing. And then he was able to build himself a family and retire on his own terms, to spend time doing what he loves with his family. So it's like, I admire the hell out of him for everything he did to get to where he did, and then also for putting himself in position and not being so caught up in living the ritzy lifestyle and everything, that he was able to put enough away and be able to walk away when he wanted and still live the life he wanted with his family. So I admire the heck out of him for that. It's just the coolest thing in the world. And then other guys like Dale Jr., right? Like Dale Jr. and Ken, they're very much so alike as far as their ability to market, their ability to see things that other people don't see, and their ability to take this sport and turn it into a business that exceeds far beyond just the racetrack. I just admire the heck out of those guys for that. And then guys like Kevin Harvick. It's like yesterday, it was the coolest thing in the world. I got to do a private tour of Dale Earnhardt's shop, and see the all the behind the scenes stuff of that, and to see like what a guy like that was able to, like, he's just a legend, right? So and Kevin Harvick, I admire the heck out of all those guys.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone just getting into racing, what would it be?
Uh, Biggest thing that I would say, the biggest thing that helped me, what really kind of made my racing career take a turn, was when I really genuinely started to understand and put the effort into learning what's underneath me, right? Like there's some guys that are just generational talents, like Kyle Larson. It don't matter if he knows what's under him or not. He's going to sit his butt in a race car seat. It doesn't matter what it is, and he's going to make it go fast. But for the other 99.9% of people out there, I would say that the biggest thing that'll help you succeed as a driver is genuinely understanding what's going on under the car, how the suspension is working, how the relationship between your tire and the racetrack lives, if you want to call it that, and just really understand what's going on and what is contributing to making that car go fast, or maybe more importantly, what's not letting it go fast, to be able to keep on making the right adjustments to put the right piece under you to be in a position to win. Because nowadays, in virtually every form of motorsports, you have to have, it doesn't matter how good of a driver you are, you have to have the whole package, and the whole package is having the right equipment under you as well. So, and that doesn't have to be the newest, most expensive, bright, shiny object. It's just a matter of using every piece, every tool that piece of equipment has to generate grip and traction, and just have a balanced setup to get around the racetrack as fast as possible. And understanding everything is your best opportunity of achieving that.
Thanks for your time, Steve. It has been a great time talking to you.
I'm glad you're able to do it, buddy. You've grown up. Ever since I remember that day you were here and we got you that wheel and everything. And God, you're growing up. It happens fast.
Well, thank you for your time. This has been the Exhaust Note Podcast. I'm Brynn Patton, and that is Steve Arpin. We'll see you next time.